Alright, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's section. We are in for exam mastery. Today we'll be looking at top functions and formulas, top 15 functions and formulas that will help to boost your productivity, that will help to enhance your data analysis skills. I guarantee you that these functions are going to be of a huge help to every one of us that is watching me tonight. Before we proceed, can we drop in the comment section in the chat box if you can hear me, if you can see my screen? Kindly drop your chat in the comment section so that we can proceed. Tonight we have a lot to cover. We have to cover 15 functions and formulas that will help to boost our productivity, that will help to enhance our efficiency and effectiveness in using Microsoft Excel. If you are with me, drop in the chat box if you can hear me. If you can see my screen, drop in the chat box. You know anyone that have to be in this section this night, share the link, share this live link to every of your audience, to every of your friends, families, loved ones, even to your enemies. Share the live link, let them join this night, and I guarantee you they will be happy they did. And you watching me, I guarantee you will be happy you did. So I want to see our chats. Drop in the chat box if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Kindly drop in the chat box. In the mastery tonight, we will be looking at our outline. We'll be working with, we'll be looking at the sum functions, the average function, the mean, the max, how we can utilize them, large functions, small function, count A, logical functions, where we'll be looking at the or and. Then we look at the conditional functions, where we'll be looking at the if functions, the sum if, average if, count if. There are other conditional functions, but for the purpose of this night session, we will be focusing on these ones. Then we will be looking at nested function. There is what we call nested function. We will be looking at nested function. Then test functions, where we look at the proper, trim, concat, left, right, len. We will be looking at that as time permits us. Then lookup function, where we'll be looking at considering the VLOOKUP and the SLOOKUP. And we close it up tonight with the date and time function. And having established this, I still want to be sure that you all can hear me and you all can see my screen. If you can hear me, if you can see my screen, kindly drop in the chat box so that we can proceed immediately. This is our outline. I prepared this outline using Microsoft PowerPoint. If you don't really know how to prepare an outline like this or stuff such as this, do well to check our training. Go to our channel, check the trainings on Microsoft PowerPoint. You will definitely learn how to prepare a slide such as this. Okay, I need us to drop in the chat box if you can hear me, if you can see my screen, so that we will proceed. These are what we have to cover this night using real life projects, real life functions. Some of us might be in institute, some of us might be teachers, some of us might be business persons, some of us might be HRs, some of us might be a business consultants, students, and the likes. So we are going to be using a real life project as the case may be. Okay, now we will be going over to straight to our Microsoft Excel. We will be looking at this straight over. I want us, if you can hear me, kindly drop it in the chat box. I want to be sure that every one of us live here can hear me. Every one of us can see my screen before I proceed. Please, it's very important to me. I need to be sure that I'm audible and I'm visible enough. Please, kindly do that. Drop in the chat box if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Let's do that quickly so that we delve into what we have. Tonight we will be going through different functions. I said top 15 functions, though I summarize some of them under an umbrella. Only logical functions we have or and. Then we have other person. Okay, loud and audible. Thank you. I can see that. All right, visible as well. Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate the feedback. All right, now let's quickly proceed. Let's say you have this, like yesterday I said, we will be looking at result sheet, and because of time, I have prepared a sample, sort of sample of result sheet that we will be working with. And now let's say we have the student name, that's first name, last name, their class, let's say they are SS2 students, and these are their subjects. These are subjects, maybe subject maths, English, economics, biology, down to I stopped at this, government, because of time, depending on what you are doing. And these are their results. These are their scores, exam scores and test scores put together. These are their scores, each and every one of them, their subject, these are their scores. And here you see, okay, math, you see the person say math, you have A in math, you had A in math, B in this, C in this, and that's why I have this column here, which is grade, where we will be using Excel function to grade them, to know ones that A, ones that fail, F, ones that are C, D, E, B, as the case may be. Also here is where we can calculate the total mark of this particular student, the total mark for this particular student, and then the average score for this particular student. Then we check what's the maximum mark he has, and then the minimum. We will be going through this, and after that we will also be getting to see something at the place here where you might want to know the person, you might want to know each of them, all the students, what's their total mark for biology, what's the total mark for the total mark they have as regards to physics and the likes, and then count. Then you want to know the first position, second position, third position, then the person that came last and second to last. For example, you want to get to know that maybe there is a reward for first position, there is a reward for second position, third position, and there is discipline. You discipline for last position and second to the last, as the case may be. We will be using using some lookup functions to be able to establish that. this night. So let's quickly move to what we have. The first on our list in the functions we are to look at this night is the sum function. And that sum function is, we are going to be looking at that under total. Now under total, I will say equals to. Now I type SU, that's sum, I double click. Now watch here, I will, because these are empty cells. These are empty cells, and 0 is an additive identity. In other words, when we talk about additive identity, anything you add 0 to remains the same. Anything you add 0 to remains the same. Likewise, 1 is a multiplicative identity. Anything you multiplied with 1 remains the same. So even if I drag from here down, and because these are empty cells, it doesn't affect my result. It doesn't affect my result. So what I will do is that I will click here and drag. I want to get to know the total score for this student that bears last name Smith. So once I do that, that's a range of F9 colon V9. I hit enter. So the total score of this student, the total score is 589. And then that's for the sum function. The sum function. And another thing that you can do is you can come here and then okay, let me use this. Let me do this. Let me use this. Enter. All right. Now, on this average, you can also use auto sum, but because of time, let me leave that. Auto sum is very simple and easy to go for. Then let me look at this average. Now, what is average? Average is the total number, the sum of the whole data divided by the total number. So we are going to look at average. We type this. Now I need to state this. Instead of using this way. There is another stuff you can do. You can come here and click. You see this f of s here. You see this fs here. You can click on it. It will bring in the function dialog box. So inside this search for function, you can search average. When you type avrag, you can search it, it takes you to average. So under this average, you can click, you double click, it gives you this. What is showing you is from here, you can see this range is putting in consideration 0. It's showing you F9 colon to this is putting in consideration 0. And if you consider 0, this will give you a wrong answer, because 0 is not part of the things we are looking at for. This cell is not part of what we are looking for. So what do we do on this aspect? I can come here, delete, click on this, comma, click on this one, comma, click on this one, comma, click on this, comma, click on this. So I need to select the ones I'm using, because those 0 are not part of the work we are doing here. So this becomes what we are to do. Now, automatically is showing you what the result is. The average score of this student when you add all the subjects when you add all the subjects and divide by the total number of the subject the student attended or the student has, is showing you here. So this is another way you can calculate your average using this the function dialog box. Now, but me, I don't usually use this. I don't mostly. Sometimes I do. Most times I don't use it. So if I click OK, it brings me the average here. That shows what do we have there? That shows 65.444. Then max. In other words, for this student, what's the maximum score? What's the maximum score does this student have? So I will put here, we are moving over to max. I will put here max. Instead of me going through this route, let me go through this route here. I will double click this. Now once I do that, I will click here drag, because 0 can't be the maximum. So I can drag all and stop here. I hit enter. It shows me the maximum score. Then under the minimum, that's the least score this student has. I will say equals to mean. Now, if I click this and drag, watch out what will happen now, and hit enter, it shows me 27. Why? In minimum, Excel doesn't recognize this. In minimum, it doesn't recognize empty cell. So when we look at this, it recognizes values. So, but if it's average will be recognized. In other words, 0 is part of number. But under the minimum, on this, it doesn't recognize empty cell. Now watch, if I come here and put 0 here, you see what happened now. It changes to 0. But if it's empty, Excel will not recognize it. So once I put 0 here, it changes to 0, that the minimum value is 0. But once it's empty, Excel doesn't acknowledge it to be part of the value in question. So let's understand that. It's very important to get this and understand it very well. Excel doesn't recognize it, but average. Now let's look at what I'm talking about here. And then I drag down to this place and hit enter. Now you see, but if it's 0 inside here, Excel will recognize it. So let's get that and get it very clear. All right. Now, having established that fact, do I have to be doing this one after the other? The answer is no. So remember yesterday the function of this. So what I will do is I have to double click it down. Then this one, double click, it calculates the other ones. This one I double click, it calculates for this. This one I double click, it calculates for it. So this becomes for total, average, mean, max, and mean. That's the functions. You will be using it often, especially when you move up in analysis and you are preparing a dashboard and the likes. You need to bring out what we call your key matrix. You will effectively be using it. All right. Now, watch out. There is something I want to show us now. Now, watch what happened here. If I go down to this place, all the ones on top with this, I will not know the headings. I will not know what this one stands for. I will not know what this one stands for. So for me to be able to see the table headers. For me to be able to see the table headers, I will use an aspect of Excel which we call freeze pane. I will use an aspect of Excel which we call freeze pane. Now, what's the function of freeze pane? I want to freeze from here up, from row 8 upward to 1. So I have to click on 9. So once I click on this 9, this means I have selected or I have highlighted this row down to the last column. This particular row 9 has been highlighted down to the last column. So once I do that, if I click on that, I will go to view. Once I got to view, you will see this called freeze pane. Freeze pane. You click on it, this drop down menu appears, you select freeze pane. So once you select that, you have freezed up here. Now what happens if I go down? Watch now. If I go down, you see that my up, the heading is still there. I'm still seeing it, so that I can be able to effectively do what I want to do. All right. Now, here I want to calculate what is the total score of all the students, what's their total score in for maths. So I can click here, the same, say sum. Now, if I select auto sum here, now you see it drags it from the first one down to this. And if I want it like this, I will say okay. But if I don't want it, I can remove this. I made a mistake. Let me do that again. Okay. Now, there is something I wanted to show us, but that is misbehaving. So what I will do here is this formula is missing an opening or close. Okay, let's re-enter it. Or let me select the auto sum again. All right. Now, what I want to do, I made a mistake I want to remove 5 and then put 3. That is 33. So if I remove this and put 3, you see this becomes what I want, exactly what I want. So I can hit enter. That is a way you can use auto sum as well. So once that is done, it shows that the total mark for mathematics for all the students is 1,376. Now you want to, if you are not sure of the number of students, that is what count is used for. You can use it to count the number. You use count. Please, I need to establish this fact and what count A is for. Now count A. This count A. Now under this place, if I want to check the number of students, if I want to count the number of students, I will use count A. Count A is to count the cells here that has alphabet text. But to use count, if you are counting cells that has numbers, you use count. Now watch here. If I say equals to CU and I select count, and then click here and drag up. Watch now, and hit enter. What did you see? It shows me 0. In other words, from the range of cells I used doesn't have any number in it. There is no cell there that has a number. So that 0 is telling me that on this range of cells we have, none has number in it. So if peradventure, let me remove Lil and put something like 3 and hit you see it's now telling me that there is one cell that has number in it. So let's go back. Now, what do I need to do? What I need to do is just to change the cell directory of this function. The cell directory. I want to calculate this. So I will change it to F. Anywhere I see D here, I will remove it and put F. And then remove this one and put F. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now I can now hit enter. It shows me 25. Now, but if I want to be sure that I want to calculate the number of students, I use count a function. That is to say, equals to, I select this, and then I will drag, select and drag, or the shortcut to do this is just because I'm having now. So this one shows me there are 25 cells here that has alphabet, letters, names, provided they are not numbers. That's what this is used for. Count is used to check the number of cells that has a figure in it. I guess that is very clear. Okay. Now let's get to where it will become interesting. Let's get to where things becomes interesting. Now, here I want to, the first position is someone that has the highest mark. That's the first position, total. The highest average. Let me freeze this side so that I can be seeing what I have here. Let me freeze here. We go to view, and then okay. Let me unfreeze the one I have earlier, and then freeze from here. Let me freeze from here. Beautiful. Let me unfreeze and freeze from here. Awesome. Now, if you look at very well, you will notice there is a thick line that separates this side and this side. That means this place is freezed and this place can be moved. So let me move down. Awesome. Now I can go this way, and that I can see this. Okay. Let me let me calculate this one this side, so that if I move, I want to be seeing the average, because we are going to use the average, this average score, to know the position, to know who is the first, who came first, the first position in the school. Okay, now this, to get to know the first position, is very simple. We can say equals to max. Whoever scored the highest is the person with the first position, but that's not my major point of emphasis. That shows me 71.1. But the challenge here will now be, this is the score for the highest position. For someone with the first position, what's the name of the person? Who is this student? What's the name of this student that scores 71.1 as overall score that become first? Is it that we begin to be going through these places and be searching for it and be going through? What if you have a range of data? You are talking about, maybe you're a university lecturer, you are the one that the number of students are many thousands, and there are thousands and stuff like that, and will you be going to be looking for it one by one to ascertain the person? The answer is no. That is where the function called lookup, the function of slookup, comes in handy. That's where the function of slookup comes in handy. There is a function we call xlookup. So what xlookup will help us do is to check this value, look for this value. Once he sees this value, he searches all the students' name and see the person that matches this value and bring it up. That's what lookup is. We are telling Excel, please help us search for this number here under this average, match it with the names of the students. Whosoever that matches this under the rows, bring the person out. That's what lookup is. And in this case, we are going to be using xlookup because VLOOKUP cannot give us this result based on how our data is. The arrangement of our data set makes it impossible. Let me use that word. I don't like saying impossible, but from this aspect, it makes it impossible for us to be able to use VLOOKUP and succeed. So for the essence of this, for the essence of this, we are going to be using xlookup. What we are going to be using is xlookup. In order to do what we have here, we want to know the student, the name, the first name and the last name of the student that came first. In other words, the one that scored the highest, 71.1. So what do? We say equals to, put x, the function comes out, slookup. Now it will be giving you hint. Read the things here, it will be giving you hint. xlookup. What's the first thing you need is the lookup value. What is the value you are telling Excel to look up in this data set? That is this value, 71.1. So once you select it, you say comma, then you move from lookup value, as you can see here, to lookup array. You see this lookup array. What are you looking up? The average. The average. Let me click this. The average. Look up for all the value in this average anywhere you see this result. If you see it, then once you do that, you put comma separate it, then return array. Once you see this, return the value you are seeing here. So what do I do? This first name, last name. So I will now, please get this. I want us to get this in one setting. Now if I select only this, pay attention, if I select only this, Excel will return only the first name of the student. Excel will return only the first name of the student. But xlookup gives us access to select both this and this, so that Excel will return the first name and the last name. Xlookup gives us that access. But VLOOKUP doesn't give us that access. That's one of the limitations of VLOOKUP. That's why Excel users will tell you that VLOOKUP is outdated. If you know xlookup, then there is no need, absolutely no need of you using VLOOKUP, because whatever VLOOKUP can do, xlookup can do even better. However, in the course of this session, I will still show us what VLOOKUP, how you can use VLOOKUP. But once you know XLOOKUP, believe me, you don't need VLOOKUP. In whatsoever XLOOKUP can do, VLOOKUP can do. In fact, VLOOKUP simply means vertical lookup. There's what we have HLOOKUP, that is horizontal lookup. But XLOOKUP have come to send those ones out of the data analysis field. We don't really use it. Once you know XLOOKUP, you are good to go. Anything VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP can do, you can do as well. So what we have here, if I select this, watch, I will still come back to this and say comma, and then that is all I need. I hit enter. It brings only the first name, Benjamin. But I don't need the first name alone. I need both the first name and the last name. So what do? Let's come back to this. Let's come back to this guy. Let's remove it. So instead of selecting, now I'm being fast anyway. Instead of selecting only this, I will just click this and drag to this. So I'm selecting both C and D. I'm telling Excel, look up for this. When you see 71, bring out both the first name and the last name of the person. So once that is done, I hit enter. Now you see that now the first name and the last name, I can double click this. The person is Benjamin Miller. So let's, because it's something we can get, let's see if what we have is correct, which is correct. It's definitely correct. All right, now that is 71.11. That's it here. So if you look at it, that's Benjamin Miller, and with the highest average score, 71.11. So with the XLOOKUP, that can give us the person. Now, this is the person with the first position. The person with the first position. Now, the next one is second position. Now, how do we get to know the person with the second position? That is what will take us to the next function, which we call large function. No, not in the first. That we will use the function called large. So we want to know the second position. In other words, after this, who takes second? That's what we want to know. After this, who takes second? So we say equals to, you see it here, large. So you double click. Now where are we looking it up? We are looking it up from our average. Then we are checking the large from our average there. Then you say comma, and then you put 2. In other words, after the first one, the second, that's 2, and then you hit enter. It brings to you that this is the highest, 65.6. If you search it, definitely you will know that's the highest. However, we want to know the person, and we don't have to come to be doing XLOOKUP again. Excel makes it easy for us that we don't need to come to be doing XLOOKUP again for this person. Okay, now let's also do this one. The third position becomes equals to large, double click, average, select, and then comma the third and hit enter. It brings you the third. Now see what this used to separate this, just a point, 65.6 and 65.4. Okay, now this one is the last position, we say mean. Mean, we will use it for the last position. We select mean and then click here, hit enter. That's the last position. Then for this one, we use a function called small. We use a function on this called small to get the second to the last person. So we say equals to small. The function will come out. We double click and then click here, all the range under that average, and then we hit enter. Oh, I haven't completed the argument. Apologies, I forgot. Then comma, then you put 2. You put 2. You need second to the last, and then you hit enter. This is the second to the last. So if you check the average here, this is the last, that's 36.88. This one is 44.66. You look at it here. When you check it, you get it, see 44.55, approximately 44.66. So Excel automatically approximates to this. And if I want it in 2 decimal places, I can highlight this, go to home, and then increase the decimal places. Okay. This one you can increase the decimal places. Let me even okay, let me increase them to 2. All right, now that is the function you can use to get to know second to the last or second to the least value of an item or in your data set. Then you also use large to get to know the second to the highest or largest, second or third, as the case may be. Now, however, having done this, we will look at how we can replicate this so as to see the name of the persons. That's what we want, to see the name of the persons. Let me unfreeze this, or let me still leave it. To see the name of the person, the second position, third position, the last person, second to the last. So what do I need to do in order to get this done? Watch. If I do this, watch here. If I drag this down, it gives me a name. But I can guarantee you that this name might not be correct. It might not be correct. How do I mean? Now look at the name he gives me here. Emily Rodriguez Sophia Taylor. That's the person second to the last. Now, this is the person here. That's 3688. That's here. And Sophia is 4656. Okay. 4456. Now, but when you look at this, in the normal practice, why this works is in the normal practice, look at this, is because why this gives us a value. I will have to let me explain to us differently. Let me redo the first one. There is something I did in the first one. Let me redo it because I'm being fast, but I just want to use that to teach us something. Now, He told me lookup value, lookup array is my average. Now watch me please. Let me say I select only this average, not everything from 0 down to 1 million. No, I selected only this range. So you are seeing Y9 to Y33. Let me do the same to this one. Let me do the same to this one. Let me select from here up, and let me do the same to this. Select only this. I want to show us something here. All right. Now, that is telling me C9 to D33. Okay. Now, it will work. I hit enter, the same value. Now, if I drag it down, now you notice that there is an error here. There is an error here. What this is telling me is different. Why? If I double click on it, you see what happens here. He can't find it. There is error. He cannot find this 65.44. Watch. 65.44 is outside this range. Remember what we talked about yesterday on relative referencing. When I moved this 2 steps down, this also moved 2 steps down. And the data we are looking for is no longer among these data sets. So Excel couldn't find it. That's why it returned that error value. So to ensure that stuff like this didn't happen, what we need to do is to come here. Remember the absolute reference. Absolute reference this, then absolute reference this. Please remember the absolute reference. Very, very important. So you ensure that the tabular arrays are locked. They can move. Once you put them under absolute reference, they are locked. They can move. So this is enter. So once we now drag down, everything is perfect now. Everything is perfect. So if I double click here, it shows me a very standard result. So I encourage us that whenever you are using an array, table array, that will remain constant throughout your work, is best you lock it. Time will not permit me to explain further on this. So that is the aspect of our lookup function. That's the lookup function, XLOOKUP. That's the one that you most use, XLOOKUP. So on this aspect, we have been able to talk about the count A, the count. We have talked about the large function, the small function, min function, max function, stuff like that. Now let's move to grade. We are moving to conditional function now, to grading. This, we are moving to conditional function. Let's look at this. We want to grade this guy. And one of the things we are going to use is the if function. If function. But the if function we are going to use here is the nested if. We have nested if. We have what we call nested if. We also have the latest ifs. But let me start with this let me do this from the nested if. If time permits me, I will talk about the ifs. Okay. Or tomorrow I will deal on the ifs. The ifs, the some ifs and the likes. Okay. Now let's say equals to. If we are using a conditional statement, this is a conditional function. If is among the conditional functions. So if we select if, this value here, if is greater than or equals to 70, our normal standard marking curriculum, then comma, if is greater than or equals to 70, then give me A. you ensure that in Microsoft Excel, in database, in programming, whenever you are to declare a variable test, you are a test a character that is not number, that is not a number, you put it under quotation. So take note of that. If it's number like this, I didn't put it under any quotation, but once it's an alphabet or a character, a text, ensure you put it under quotation. All right. So once, if it's greater than or equals to 70, you are saying Excel, give me A, then you put comma, then you type another if, double click and open. If it doesn't fulfill this criteria, let's give him another criteria again. If it's greater than or equals to 60, comma, give me B. Then you put comma again. And then if the mark doesn't fulfill this criteria, you put also if again. You put another if. If this is greater than or equal to 50, comma, you put give me C. By tomorrow you will appreciate ifs. When you see how ifs is very easy to use, you will appreciate ifs. Okay, now this you put comma. Then if it doesn't fulfill that, we open another if. That's this where it becomes a bit long, a bit cumbersome. And then you select the cell again, F9. If F9 is greater than or equals to 45, comma, then give me D. Then you put comma. If you double click, this is greater than or equals to 40, comma, open this, then put E, you close, then comma. Then if it doesn't fulfill any of these, if it's less than 40, if it doesn't fulfill any of these, then give me F, for example. Now this becomes the formula. This is now the formula that is given by nested if. Why we call it nested ifs is that this is ifs inside if. You see this if, you see this if inside if. And before you hit enter, remember, by the mathematics standard, in arithmetic, in algebra, the number of brackets you open, you have to close. You have to close. The number of brackets open, you have to close. So when you count the number of brackets is that we open, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. So we have to close 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is what we call nested if. We use it in order to code in our grade so that we will not be inputting it manually, and maybe time might come due to our brain might be so heavy we made a mistake where we might put A, we put B, where we might put B, we put D, or stuff like that. So you don't need to do that. Excel does that. You just encode it for yourself once and you hit enter. So what it gives me here is C. From what we coded, anything greater than 50 should be given C. So that's having established that, what else we do is we double click. So you see, once you double click it, it calculates other ones. The person that's called F, A, this one D, A, F, B, and so on and so forth. So that is the aspect of nested ifs. So you can still use this nested ifs to calculate for this, to calculate for this, to calculate for this. The same argument. The only thing you will have to do is you can you can copy the formula. Control C, and then you come here, paste. Now, once you paste it here, what you will now change is, instead of F9, you will now make it H9. H9. So you come inside the function here, put H. You come here, put H. The same, anywhere you see F, put H. Anywhere you see F9, make it H9. That's what you will do. Anywhere you see F9, you make it H9, so as to make the function to be workable. Now it has moved from 55 to 52. So once that is done, the next thing you do is you hit enter. That's a mistake on my part. But you copy, you copy this function here. Now copy only this stuff here, Control C, hit enter, come to this place and paste. So once you paste it, put it equals to, it becomes a function. So what you can now do here, change it to H. Anywhere you see this F9, make it H9. That way, make it H9. Anywhere, see that that's H9. So once that is done, you hit enter. The same value, you can double click and move down. Other things we calculate itself. Okay, now that's on the nested if. Tomorrow we will be looking at the ifs. The ifs, you use that to grade, to calculate your grades and stuff like that. Okay, the next we'll be looking at is the reward sheet, where we will be making use of some conditional functions, some if, we have the nested functions. Now, here, let's say you are a HR. You're a HR, and these are salespersons. And these are their returns, monthly income and monthly profit. Because of our time, let me do the if, what we can use the if function to achieve as well. Instead, it's not only the aspect of I use the nested if. So here, for you to use the if function properly. Now let's take for example that in the company they said anybody that if you bring in a monthly income from 100 million and above, if you bring in a monthly income from 100 million and above, you are going to be rewarded. You are going to be given bonus. Now, but if you have anything less than 100 million, no bonus. And you have a data set of salespersons who their monthly report has been submitted to you, and you want to check those who deserved bonus and those that doesn't deserve bonus. The if function comes. You said equals to if. You double click here. If this is greater than or equals to this. Are you getting that now? If this one is greater than or equals to this, comma, open this, then you can write deserved bonus, then close it, comma. If it's not, you put no bonus. Alright, that is what we have here. But because this is the reference point, every value here all the data set here, all the data here is referencing this. This is a reference point. What we need to do is to make it absolute reference, to lock it so that it doesn't move away from this place. So we press F4 and make it absolute reference, and then we hit enter. So this person deserved bonus, and when we drag it down, you see that this person doesn't deserve bonus. That's no bonus. Okay, that is the aspect of the if. But what do we have when we have two criteria? What do we do when you have two criteria? Let's say the company says you have to make a monthly income above 100 million, and then a monthly profit within 10 million and above. That's monthly profit. That becomes two conditions now. This if function, I use if function for one condition. Now, what if it's now two conditions? You have two conditions. You must meet this and then meet this. That's two conditions. Or they will say that you either meet this one or you meet that one. That is another condition. So if they're saying for you to get a reward, a bonus, your monthly income must be 100 million and above, and the monthly profit of 10 million and above. That is an AND function. Remember, one of the functions we will be looking at is the logical function. The logical function where we talk about the OR and AND. And because of our time, we will continue from here tomorrow, where we will be looking at the OR function, the AND function, and then we bring into the nested function, and we talk about the sum if, average if, and count if. And that is where we will wrap up this nice section. If you have any question, feel free to reach out, drop it in the group. Drop it in the group. I will be able, in the training group, I will be able to deal with that. And want to say a very big thank you for making our time to be available in this section this night. Do have a lovely night rest. See you guys same time tomorrow.